It's always awkward when we got to start.
Yeah.
All right. Loud noise in three, two, one. It's the Shant and Adi podcast, you guys. Shant, how you feeling tonight, buddy?
Good, good. What are we on? What number is this?
Cinco de Mayo, baby.
Episode 5. Okay, so today is an exciting one because we're going to talk about, Adi, okay, we're going to talk about you getting into business with your dad, okay?
Pop
and
Dukes.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, your dad's an immigrant, hard-headed guy who knows everything, not pretend to know it all. He actually does know everything.
My dad actually, that's sidebar. My dad actually does know everything.
Yeah, he actually knows everything. So, like, I want to know how it was, like, getting into business with a guy like that, and you're like his little boy, right?
Technically and possibly figuratively, yes.
Yeah. And today we're going to talk about why I left New Jersey and what did it have to do with business. Now, a lot of people know why we moved to Arizona because, but not a lot of people know why I left New Jersey in particular. So that's going to be a good one. But Adi, first, you look stressed. What happened, man?
So real quick, I'm gonna preface, I guess, my experience this week by saying it's my fault completely.
Okay.
Not the client's fault, not the dealer's fault, but sometimes when you're swamped with work, sometimes you just lose track of what's happening, and that's exactly what happened. So this guy's been waiting for his car for like 3 weeks, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I told him I'll get him the car in 2. It's been about 3. Dealer took a week off on the 3rd week, right? So the car is like chilling at the dealership for like 4 or 5 days. And, they do the favor of FedExing him or sending a runner for the paperwork. They send it back. Now, the guy, by the time that the paperwork gets back up until the point where he takes delivery, 5 days goes by.
Okay.
They had to register the car so he can get it ready so he can take delivery. And this guy's flipping out. Like, when am I going to pick my car? The dealer texts me back saying, I'll let you know when it's ready. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just fuck myself then. Until then, I don't know what you want me to do with that, but makes sense. So I let a day or 2 go by and I text the dealer back like, what's the deal, bro? When's this guy getting his car? And he doesn't text me back. So now you got the customer waiting on the other end for the answer of when is my car going to be ready? And then the dealer on the other end, pissed off at the customer, knows I'm asking on behalf of the customer, doesn't want to respond to me. So the client then gets up and says, cancel the deal. I call the guy's boss, the dealer's boss, and I'm like, what do I do if the customer wants to cancel the deal? He goes, listen. He goes, ultimately, everything is possible. As in, I'm not going to tell you this deal can't be canceled.
Yeah.
As far as me making it easy for him to cancel it, not a chance in hell. So he's got to go through the whole process, and there might actually be a lawyer involved.
So that's what you're going through right now?
No. So I had to tell the customer, listen, because he knew that the deal was cancelable because he had a friend that works as a finance manager too. The finance manager is basically explaining to him, ultimately, it can be canceled. I'm trying to tell him in a nice way, like, listen, we're going to bury ourselves in a headache right now if you decide to cancel. And he goes, no problem. Just go move forward with it. So long story short, a few hours goes by. He decides just forget it. Just let me know when the car is ready. But you can tell this guy's pissed off. Now, the dealer, on the other hand, still doesn't want to talk to me. Just doesn't want to talk to me. Like, he doesn't want to deal with any of the customers anymore because this is not like the first time. But the issue is that the dealer sucks at communicating.
Mhm.
So maybe it's like a lesson this week. I don't know. Like once you sense that there's communication problems,
Yeah.
right, it could end up costing you your commission if
Yeah.
they decide to like screw around with the customer. So I guess that was a good little like reminder, like Adi or Shant or whoever. If you can't get a clear, concise answer out of somebody, don't expect it to get better as time progresses.
Yeah.
Right? So I had to go through that this week. To date, I have never actually had to cancel a deal.
Wow.
To date. But that was the closest I've ever come to it. So that was a first this week. And it was not fun. It was miserable having to do that because that's a tense conversation. Like, this guy wants to cancel a funded deal. Like, the car is his. It's registered. It's ready to go.
Wow.
So that happened. And it was, it's not fun.
That sucks.
What about you? Anything exciting for you this week?
So all good stuff. So actually, we don't want to always just be negative. So I met this retired couple, probably 7-8 months ago, maybe a year ago. They're from Washington State, and they live here. They're retired out here, right? So I met them a while back. They wanted to sell their house and get something on the other end of Phoenix just to be closer to friends. So I was like, okay. So we're out there looking for homes for a while. Everything's good. But then we find out the guy ends up having cancer.
Shit.
Okay. So he had to have surgery. So he had surgery. It was fine. But then it came back, and they called me a month and a half ago. They're like, Shant, listen, we have to sell. Can you come by? I go by. The guy's done his treatments. He looks skinny now, like way, out of it. And they're like crying. They're like, hey, we have to sell and we have to go back to Washington because we want to spend the last days with the grandkids,
Yeah.
So it's tough. So that was a month and a half ago. We're like, all right, they need a month to get shit ready. Last week, we put the house on the market on Friday. And dude, like I've never really wanted to like sell a house like so bad, dude. Like it hit me, man, to see that, like them crying and that shit. I'm too emotional, bro. And so Friday that happened. Sunday had some showings, out of state client. I found the buyer, and yesterday today's Thursday. Monday they put an offer. Yesterday they accepted. So hopefully it goes, knock on wood, smooth now, man, and they're going to be in Washington in 30 days.
Yeah, well, last week you were talking about having a really bad month compared to your best month, no?
Yeah, so
somebody heard this podcast.
Yeah. So no, it's good, man. Like, dude, it just really hit me hard, because my brother is in the cancer field, him and my sister-in-law, and now it really hit me, man, seeing that shit, dude. Like,
it's not.
Yes. So
you're hearing it more and more now as we're getting older.
Yeah. But it's good news. They're happy. They're so happy. But we still got a few shit to go through, and hopefully it'll be done.
I hope so, man.
So let's all pray for them. But Adi, you get into business with your dad, and by the way, Hovan Assam was my favorite. By the way, like he's my guy, so I'm not talking shit about him. Because he will smack me. But for you guys don't know, like Adi's dad is like, the guy's smart. He fucking knows everything. He's had businesses in the past. He's just a very smart guy, shrewd businessman. And you coming on along with him, like, because I know a few people who've been through that. Like, what the hell happened? Like, what was that like working with family and just go?
So the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
So imagine, Shant, you're saying my dad's a shrewd businessman. I think so. I used to work for what I thought was the shrewdest at the Armenian bakery, at Sevan Bakery. It was my first job at 14. So I had a little taste of it at first because the owner was couple. He was the shrewdest business. Like this guy he doesn't have a second to spare for bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. So his sons were my bosses. The two sons, the brothers, were my bosses, but he was also my boss. Yeah. So I understood that dynamic very well. That, listen, ultimately, like say I'm my dad for a second. Ultimately, I'm the boss, but he is also the boss, and so is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So at any given moment, like my employees have like 2 or 3 bosses, like who's right, who's wrong. And then they're stuck hearing like me and my dad, like the 2 bosses fight over who's right and who's wrong. So me and my dad at first, it may have been literally two
heavyweights.
Huh?
2 heavyweights.
Yeah, like my dad, put it this way, he is a lot calmer than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I get very stressed very quickly.
Yeah.
So for us, it was really just a matter of learning each other's personality, but it taking so long that we ended up having like a very tense, and still up until now, a very tense environment that I created between us inside the shop.
Yeah.
Right.
Because before you continue, sorry. So you guys are 2 totally different. Like you're more like freaking like stressed and like and not patient. Not that you're impatient, but like you're just very like thing. And your dad, I love your dad because like he's so just like on his own speed, right? And I remember you'd be at your house, we grew up together, we'd be eating breakfast and I'd ask your dad, hey, ask him a question. And he just sits there, looks at you, then looks away for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
And I'm like, this guy fucking ignoring me? Like, I look around, like to you, to Sako. I'm like, okay, this guy's not going to answer me, I guess.
Collecting his thoughts.
Yeah, he just thinks before, like, it's such a sick talent. Like, he has that ability to really slow down and be like, okay. And then he answers and has like a really, I'm like, oh shit, okay. So just a little backstory about how different you guys are. So go ahead.
So the issue is that he's used to catering, right? Mm-hmm. And for us to take on takeout, high-paced, was a learning experience in and of itself. Like he hadn't been through that fast-paced, day-to-day, minute-by-minute environment yet, and it was a completely new experience for both of us. And it wasn't a situation where we started and it was extremely slow going forward, so we had enough time to embrace how everything is supposed to be, right? Like we got written up in the Boston Globe 2 months after we started, mm-hmm. right? So we were busy.
Was takeout your idea or his idea?
It was his idea. So originally, there was a few months where I wasn't working. I left BMW, and then there was a few months in between where he was trying to figure out what he was going to do. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Plus, it was post-recession, so nobody really had money to spend on catering. So it was a really tough time for him, and he was weighing out all these different options, one of them being takeout. And as soon as I, suddenly became unemployed, he threw it out there, and he's like, listen, like it's not like a short-term thing. So what are your thoughts? And I told him, like, listen, this ain't catering. Like, this. You have to put in hours on this. So for us, it was a completely new thing that we both tackled. And because it was moving so fast, and when you're constantly stressed with all that fast-paced movement happening, your emotions come out, bro. The stress comes out. It leaks out. It spews out. So the hard part for him, because he's already been through stress and he has his ways of doing things, and he's very knowledgeable, and plus he's laid back. Like, yeah, care less. An order is late. Fuck it. Tell him to wait 10 minutes. Whatever. Me, I'm like, no, like we got to get this on the road right now. Like, so
I can see that.
so there was like this major clash in between me loving to have things in order and him being a lot more lax. But what I slowly came to realize is that it doesn't fucking matter. Let it be a few minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Just don't freak out, right? Don't stress out. Because this was the major reason why me and him, and to this day, we fight a lot.
To this day, you still fight?
We still fight. We still fight a lot. And I think partly my dad, he's developed an immunity to it because he doesn't start the fights. I take full responsibility. I am a nightmare to deal with for him. I really am. Because it's not just a we started 7 years ago thing. Like, he's been my dad for 31 years. I know the guy, right? Mm-hmm. You don't walk into work and say like, all right, this is my boss and that's it. Like, no, this is your boss and your father. So you know him very well. You know almost his thought process. So I don't want to make it too confusing by now mixing in how I handle my car stuff until afterwards. But for me to work with my father, you're basically mixing yin and yang. And by the time that we both learned each other, he developed more of an immunity to me, like just blocking out half the shit that I do and say. But sometimes he gets so pissed off at how I react that the moment that he gets pissed off, I completely shut the fuck up.
So you said a lot there, and I want to kind of dissect it a little bit. Couple questions. One, has that, you guys fighting and like, not that you guys fight a lot, but has that affected you guys outside of work, right? As being father and son. And then two, like, because, Armenian parents, we're Armenian. We have Armenian dads are very hard-headed and very like, no, like ego, like this is mine. Has he let you take the reins yet and be like, here you go, son, take over. It's your call, whatever you want.
So I want to answer this, and I want to preface it with the right answer, right? The choice is ultimately, it's up to me to make right now as far as taking the reins. Mm-hmm. In terms of what that implies, right? What is that? What do you think that taking the reins implies? As in, do you think that by taking the reins that you have complete control over what you're doing at work, Shant? Do you think that that's what that means when you work with a person like, my father or that other guy I was telling you about from that bakery? Yeah. Do you think that implies that?
No, I'm just asking. Like,
no. I want to ask you. Do you think that by taking the reins?
Yeah. Like
it's keep for my dad.
Like your dad obviously still would have say, but like he lets you make the decisions more and lets you try new stuff. If you have an idea, okay, go do it. If there's a hard decision, you give your opinion, and he says, okay, let's go with what you say.
Okay, so my dad, no matter how calm, no matter how knowledgeable, until he is dead, he will have control over anything that happens at the business. And he prefers to have some control over what I do in my life. That's just him. He is the type of guy, he doesn't want you to fuck up. The worst thing for him is seeing you and not being able to prevent you from fucking up. That's that is the underlying motive in him wanting control over anything. It's not a selfish motive. It's not like one of those like secret intention. I want to have control. It's not like he like filters out my girlfriend. none of that. He give a fuck less about that. He just wants to make sure I don't fuck up.
He knows more than us. Literally, one of the guys, like, he just knows more. So he just says, hey, listen, I know, like, you're going to fuck up here. Do this, because he knows.
So he's slowly digesting. And this goes back to what I was saying before about mixing in BAC with the restaurant and taking the reins. So he's slowly digesting the idea of somebody being able to operate two businesses at once.
Mm-hmm.
But he is still not convinced, somewhat like me, he's still not convinced of hiring people for automating certain administrative tasks, right? Like you need a full-time bookkeeper, you need a full-time catering manager. This is all stuff that you could pretty much do. If you hustle a little bit, you can get it done. And for me to take the reins right now with how my phone works and where my eyes need to be, I can't do like the bookkeeping side of things. I can't do like the handling invoicing. I can't do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's slowly learning to grasp that concept of we may need somebody to take my actual position at the restaurant, which is more micromanaging, so I can macro manage the restaurant.
Grow it, yeah.
Exactly. So right now he's in the mindset of let's find and replicate Ari so that Ari can now replicate Hovhannes. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yeah. That's so. How has that affected your guys? They say off the field in sports. How's that affected you guys in the house?
I have one very, very simple rule, and I tell it to every single person in the house. I try to remind my brother Sacco, and I want to encourage you, Shant, try to do it as well. The moment that I step in the door at home, I leave the bullshit right outside of the house. You don't bring in your problems. You don't bring financial worries. You don't bring outside stressors. If you don't know the girl well enough, you don't bring in the girl. Mm-hmm. All the bullshit stays outside. So when I come home, although there may be a little bit of awkward tension at first, because we just had a screaming match, right? He knows that it's just business. Like we're arguing, or we might be bantering, because ultimately we don't want to see each other make a mistake, leave a customer unhappy. Imagine all the fighting that happens is literally just to keep our Yelp review a 5-star.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything negative. It's preventative arguing. Like
keep the name alive, keep Ani. Yeah. And I could probably see he could, as your dad, you guys fight, you argue at work, come home, and you guys have let it go. And like a day later, you guys are at home, just like your dad's sitting at the kitchen table, you're like walking around, and there's your dad, because I know him, he's a little like, he's a John Etienne, so he's sarcastic, right? Has he made like little jabs at you, just like, oh, you messed that up, like just to like stick it to you, right? Like a little joke. He does that, doesn't he? And I know that pisses you off.
So I try to stay a little bit busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I love
before I had Boston Auto, I had a lot more free time. Right. And I used to come home sometime before midnight and to say hi to my mom, and my dad would be eating at the dinner table or whatever. So like if there was an awkward fight or whatever, I'd come home and he'd be like kind of like looking at me like I'm not going to mention it. I'm going to try to like keep things peaceful. And my mom would know we just had a fight, and she'd be like, what's wrong?
Yeah, your mom would bring it up too.
Huh?
Your mom would bring it up too, like, what happened?
She already knew before I stepped in, but she'd act like she didn't know.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to make it awkward. But my dad, my dad forgets very easily. Like you had a fight. He doesn't hold any grudges. The next day he'll act like it's just whatever. But we've had the same problem for a little while. And it's old habits die very, very hard. And that goes both ways. I get flustered very quickly. I get stressed out very quickly. And he learns to relax very quickly. He learns to let go of things very quickly, right? So your habits, ultimately, they come out. You're being stressed out. You're going to argue.
Mm-hmm.
You're relaxed. So you're going to kind of like take it easy, even if the phone already rang a few times, right? You're going to pick it up later than the guy who's stressed out. He's ready to pick it up right now. It's just two completely different personalities, but we're fucking beasts.
Yeah.
If we didn't have this, ultimately, ship would have sank, bro.
Yeah, no, you guys are your dad's a beast, dude. Like, yeah. Wasn't he supposed to retire a little
retired.
While? Yeah, and he's still crushing it at work.
I told you, until my father is dead,
yeah,
he will be at work 3 hours before you, and he will leave 15 minutes after you. I left early for this podcast. He stayed while the girls were mopping.
Yeah, he's probably like, podcasts. So if you have one little tip for, because I know, I have a couple of friends who are in business with their dad, or were in business, going into business with family or dad situation. What one like thing would you like fuck up you did that could save someone, or something that you could kind of come up with to help someone?
Figure out exactly what it is that you guys are repetitively arguing about. Like, what is the core, not the actual topic of what sparked the argument, but what is the core reason behind the argument? Is it a lack of attention, or if it's a lack of communication? Figure that shit out and learn to take some of the responsibility on yourself, not because you have to, but because you have some sort of obligation to give that person a little bit more leeway than you do a regular employee. Like, my patience threshold is actually lower for family members than it is for employees, because with employees, if I use my normal temper, right, I'll get sued. So my threshold is a lot lower for my father, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do now is mentally, artificially boost my threshold above my employees. But what that normally means is that sometimes you just can't talk to your father. You're like, don't worry about it. I got it. Don't worry. Everything's good. So he feels almost like a little bit left out, Shant. So basically my advice is learn what the actual core problem is, even if it kills you inside to have to change around your like chemistry. Do it, because I mean, the greater scheme of things, the reason why you're there in the first place is because you're trying to help your family. Don't ruin your family.
Yeah, over business. Yeah. No, listen, that's good. And I don't know how you do it. I could never imagine going to business with my dad.
It takes years, Shant. It takes years. You have a lot of people don't understand this, man. There's been a lot of days where you consider, even my dad now, he still thinks I don't want to be a part of the business for some reason. Like, no, I'm not saying always. I'm saying after some of these arguments, or when he sees me putting in some of these long days and just being constantly stressed, he thinks it has something to do with me not wanting to be a part of the family business. And that's just not true. Yeah. I want to be a part of both. But ultimately, I mean, you gotta understand that there's gonna be those days of thinking to yourself, man, like, do I even want to do this? Yeah. Right. But if you can learn that, ultimately it's for the greater good of the family, you either you accept it 100%, or you're one of those people that doesn't give a shit about the family. So you just up and leave. And that's the call that's completely okay to make. It's up to you. Nobody's going to judge you except probably a lot of people, but
it's you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah. But what about you, big guy? Why did you? So you made me kind of think about this. So I understand why you went to Arizona because it was on some like Thrillist
Yeah,
top 10
list.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how did you get on that list? Why did you Google the list?
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about how to say this, right? And nobody knows why I left New Jersey. Like,
I
yeah,
don't
okay,
know.
better weather, obviously, yeah, cost of living. I could give you all the reasons why we chose Arizona, right? But so a little backdrop on, it's not like, oh, I left Jersey because I hated my life there. I mean, my friends are all there, my brother, my parents were there, they're here now, but like basketball leagues, Armenian, like all like, dude, I loved like that's everything I was like, I loved living life there. So why we left, right? And I think this is important because this had a lot to do with business, right? And I wasn't in business at the time, but I think a lot of people get stuck, right? And I never want to be stuck or feel stuck. That's one thing I don't want to do. So I had a conversation with Betty. Betty wanted to leave Jersey anyway because the commute sucked. So she was like, whatever, let's go. Like, I'm happy to leave.
Plus, she was from Maryland anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She didn't care about Jersey anyway.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, let's go, whatever. You want to, like, great. She'd never thought I'd leave. But I told myself, I'm like, listen, me staying in Jersey is the easy way out, right? Because what happened for me in Jersey is I was scared to take a risk because I knew everyone there. And so like for people trying to take a risk right now, like try to listen to this because I was worried about what people would have said if I stayed, did something, right? What happens if I failed? What happened? I literally know everybody in New York, New Jersey area, like everyone knows me, like the Armenians and my friends. So it's like, I didn't want to be around that. Plus, I didn't want to be around distractions. Okay. Like I said, because we could have went to California, right? Why didn't we choose California? It's great weather. We have family. That's the thing. We have family there and friends.
Distractions.
So I'm very like, okay, you live in Jersey. Okay. Every weekend there's something to do. A friend's birthday, a christening, a fucking birthday party, someone's getting married, great stuff to be around. But I'm like, listen, if I'm going to go into something, I don't want to be like, always have something to do and be distracted and really like take my eye off the game. Like my friends here in Arizona, I've made friends, right? They know not to hit me up on the weekends because they know I'm not going to hang out. They know they never invite me to shit.
Or they stopped trying.
They stopped trying because they know already, dude. And that was the thing. I wanted to get out of that. And I was like, like my parents chose to live in Jersey, right? I didn't choose to live in Jersey. My parents did. Now, I loved it there. I loved the people there. I have all my family nearby. You guys were a hop, skip, and away, quick drive just to see you guys all the time. But I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I have to just do it like away from everybody, family, friends, because I don't want to like hear shit. Because like, dude, when you're doing your stuff, your videos, you feel it more, right? You feel like people talking shit. Oh, well, how he's doing another business? Like, is he
the
stupid?
feedback resonates a lot quicker.
Yeah, here, dude, I'm here. Dude, I don't hear anything. I'm by myself.
No feedback.
I'm by myself. And there's beauty behind that. I love the fact that I just said, I'm leaving everything because I want to take a risk on myself. And I really, didn't want to hear people. I was scared about that. I didn't want to hear shit when I go somewhere to a basketball game or a church league game and they're like, oh, dude, like, the fuck are you doing? Like here, I'm completely separated.
I love that.
Nobody, I don't think even Well, Betty knows why I didn't want to go to LA because of that. I told her I don't want to be distracted every weekend. There's a party, there's this, there's that. I just want to come here, not know anybody, and just fucking kind of work and build something. And I didn't want to be it's fucked up to say, but I didn't want to be, it's probably mostly me being self-conscious, but I didn't want to get into like hearing what people had to say. So now my parents moved here, so I have to hear them, but it's okay because now I'm like, I've done it, I'm doing it. So it's like, now I'm like, fuck, I should have done this in Jersey.
They came there on their terms, knowing what you were up to and what you're trying to get done, what your motive is for wanting to be there, and they know not to mess with it. But first of all, Shant, you self-conscious? What?
I didn't want to hear that shit, bro. And you know what? I know a lot of people that go through that and they're like, don't want to do anything because they're worried about what people are going to say. So my fucking thing fixed for that was just get the fuck out of there. Just move across the country.
See, here's my whole thing, right? Like, I envy that so much. And the reason why I would want to do something like that, like, let's say I didn't have any strings tying me to Boston.
Yeah.
Besides being put self-conscious aside for a second, it is for the reason of seclusion. Like, I am a very, very, I enjoy my privacy.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Right? Like, whenever I had girlfriends, I specifically, like, I enjoyed the days where, that night I don't want to see them. And I enjoyed when the girl didn't require as much attention as the girls that did need attention, because I just, you know what I mean? Like, when you're that busy of a mind, having that as a distraction, it's hard enough. But when you've got friends, family, this, that, like you're saying, it's very, very hard to not have that 9-to-5 mindset. Like, I'll text you after work. I haven't said I'll text you after work in years. I'm constantly like, if Sacco calls me and says, "Hey, bro, are you busy?" He doesn't ask that question anymore.
Yeah, he just says, yeah. He
like,
just goes
what is it? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like, until I'm in my bed, huh?
Yeah. And it's not like, oh my God, I'm so busy where like I'm crushing life. No, like I'm not, like, at all. But yeah, I just didn't want to be distracted. I didn't want to be, I wanted to kind of take the hard route, right? And I wanted to be like, if I could go somewhere, not know anybody, and do something, like, A, there'll be less pressure because I don't know anybody, and B, it'll just prove to myself, like, fuck, man, like, I did that, like, without, because, if I did in Jersey, if I did real estate in Jersey right now, I think I would fucking crush it, because I know so many people there, so many people like me already, I think they like me, but it just would have been a lot easier to be in real estate when you have so many people that trust you already. Here, it's like I'm just starting from the bottom, and like it's just, I just didn't want distractions, bro. Like, I literally told Betty when we were like, she wanted to go to LA because her mom and sisters were there. I was like, listen, I want us to do something, and I don't want to be distracted. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll move somewhere back. We'll move back to Jersey. We'll go to LA, whatever. But I really just wanted to, like, just get away from everybody for a little bit.
So I will say I envy it. I wish that I could. I wish that.
I think most people want to. I think most people want to, but I think they're too scared. And you obviously right now, you logistically can't. Now, can you build a life in the next couple of years to do so? Yeah. I just said, listen, I'm not going to get stuck somewhere. Cause like, if I worked there, like I was going to like get into be a police officer or like a UPS driver, which I was doing. I was stuck for my pension for the next 30 years to work somewhere. I couldn't leave New Jersey. I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, I don't want to live somewhere because I have to. I want to live somewhere because I really fucking love it here. Not because I know everybody, because I grew up small town, you know, like Watertown. Everyone knows everybody. I literally just fucking love it here. And I'm going to live somewhere where I actually really, really enjoy it. And I picked to be here. Like, I chose this. Not my parents chose it and I just dealt with it.
You didn't choose it. Thrillist chose it.
The list, yeah.
Yeah. You just chose whatever they chose as number one.
And disclaimer, not I chose it either. I can't do anything unless Betty says yes. So it's not like, hey, Betty, we're going to Arizona and you're coming. Like, she had to obviously want to.
So I'm realizing from this podcast, Shant, that me and you, we have something in common, which is not feeling like we don't have control over a situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that you are far less of a control freak than I am.
Probably.
Does that sound accurate?
Yeah.
So feeling stuck is what you make of it, right? Because here I am, I'm the control freak. And I'm as local or accessible as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, you know, I'm here. I'm telling you, I envy you for doing what you did. And I have motivation to do what you did. I'd love to. But at the same time, I think because I'm such a control freak, I feel like I would lose part of my control if I'm no longer in my surrounding.
Yeah, around.
Right. And
no,
that's a mental thing. That's a mental state, is you feeling like you'd be lost if you step outside of your literal comfort zone.
My thing is, like, you literally, okay, you grew up, you love Watertown, you love Waltham, you know, that's where you live. I grew up in the Jersey, you know, New York, then New Jersey, and that's everyone I knew. And I love everyone back there. Like, I literally miss the people there, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not stuck. I don't want to be stuck here because my parents decided to come here. So this is where I'm going to be. So many people want to go try something different. And like, you don't understand, like, when you go somewhere different, it's like a breath of fresh air, especially when you chose it. Like, I have a buddy of mine, Guillaume, hopefully he's listening. You know, he moved to Florida. He started his own business, you know, and it's just, he loves it. It's just getting away from that little circle and saying like, yeah, but you know, like, this is where I'm at. Most people aren't happy where they are unless they chose it.
So I want to make a suggestion, and I want to make a very, very strong suggestion to somebody after listening to Shant. I'm happy that you brought this up, Shant, because it brings me to a very sound suggestion, I guess, that I can make for people that don't have sort of the ability or luxury of being able to move sort of further away from wherever they live, right? Like picking up and leaving. So you, by not being a control freak, but more not wanting to feel stuck, and me having felt like I was stuck, but not having the means to obviously move.
Mm-hmm.
I think that ultimately it's in your power to be able to not feel stuck, even if you're staying in place. It's about how much you're going to be able to get done, right? And how much of your circle you're going to lose in the process. You moved physically. So your excuse is, I no longer live near you. I can't show up to your party.
Yeah.
Right? I live here.
Yeah.
And I still don't show up to the party.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of two things. I would love to get up and go somewhere warm. I really would. but I have literal strings tying me.
But I think you could listen, man. When before me and Betty got married and we got engaged, and we used to talk about, because her family moved to California and she wanted to gauge where I'm at. Like, hey, is this guy gonna be? Is he flexible? I told her, hey, I'm never leaving New Jersey. I'm never leaving.
You told Betty this before
Yeah.
you guys got married, and you ended up telling her I want to leave Jersey.
Yeah, like I was just like, oh, I'm never leaving Jersey. I love it here too much. Everyone's here, this and that, right? So, and I want people to understand how quick things change. So that happened. I told her that. And then I started feeling like, you know what? I felt stuck. And I saw her being stuck. So I'm like, okay, let's get out. So we decided to move here. Then the funny thing is now, once we made that move, because people are like, oh, how do people go live somewhere crazy or go to Greece and live overseas? We've literally bounced the idea around. Why don't we fucking go to Greece and live in Greece? Once you make once you do that initial like scared move, everything else like we can go to fucking Italy and live there. Now I would have to figure out business. How the hell would I make money? But I'm sure I'll figure it out. But we've thought about it. Like at this point, it's fucking simple. Now people are starting to move here. So my parents moved here. There's people always like who come here like, oh, dude, I want to come move out here. I told Betty the second people start coming, I'm out.
Get work done.
I'm going to go to fucking Texas. I'm going to go to Portland. I don't know, like just states that just sound cool. Or I'm going to fucking Italy or Greece. So she literally was like, oh, someone said they're going to want to move here, I think. I was like, okay, let me know, because my parents are first. Then if my brother comes and then this person comes and that person, I'm out.
You can't. I would. It's like somebody moving into my office building, right? I can't come here and record because it's like, dude, I need my like space. I don't want people I'm here. I don't want people knowing I'm here. Sometimes I'll park in the back.
Yeah, because you don't want them to see. Yeah.
Yeah, because some people go to the gym that I know down the street. So they're constantly driving by. So, I mean, put it this way, Shant, I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing for getting up and leaving. What I'm saying is if you're feeling stuck and you don't have the physical ability, not physical ability, but if you don't have the means, maybe you don't have enough money to go out and move, you don't have to feel stuck, but you got to learn that sometimes it may actually be your environment that's trapping you.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes it's a little bit of both. Don't get me wrong, but you got to realize that half of it, it's a mental state.
Yeah. No,
I've learned to overcome it by building a wall around myself. And that's not the best way to do things either. Don't get me wrong. But this is how you get shit done. You either get up and leave or you build a wall.
Yeah. There's no other way. Like, I don't know. I don't see any other way rather than just sucking it up and doing both, especially in the beginning. I don't know. Like you have to just, like you said, if you're there, you have to just build your wall, like Trump said, and kind of just keep everything out. And no, we're not political here. Or just get the fuck out. Like there's nothing, and people can say, oh, I don't have the money. Like you don't need a lot of money to move. You just need to be smart and fucking figure it out. Right? Now, the other thing is you never have to like, how do I say this in a way where, like I don't want people to think like, oh, people were distractions back home. No one was a distraction. I was a distraction to myself. I wanted to be distracted. You have built a wall because you don't want to be distracted. I wanted to be distracted. So I just always distracted myself, right? So what I had to do was say, fuck this, I'm out, right? Plus the fact that I was worried what people were like, I was self-conscious about doing something big there because I knew so many fucking people. And I was just like, it worried me to do something. So that's another reason why I said, I'm out. I'm going to go somewhere where nobody knows me.
Dude, I feel like you, by doing that, you kind of eliminated self-conscious.
Any fear or anything that like, there's no excuse. At that point, it's like, dude, there's no excuse for you to not to do something.
So it's not even so much me that I'm self-conscious about being able to get work done or being able to just get up and move. I think ultimately it's really is just a matter of being able to actually get shit done. Because, put it this way, I could be on my way driving from Ani to the office, stop by the gas station and run into somebody or three people that
And
I
talk
know.
for 45 minutes and
Fucking yeah, at this point I get held up just being outside my store and somebody honks or pulls over and wants to talk. So I think sometimes when I really think about it, sometimes it's you physically are trapped, man. Like constantly distracted and not even asking for it. It's not even like you called your friends and said, hey, or like they sent you a text saying we're playing basketball later. Like it's just like unsolicited distractions constantly. That's why I park in the back sometimes, bro.
now people know, and now they're gonna fucking check the back and then come in.
It's fucked. It's fucked.
Just
Next
Uber.
place I get, it's gonna be with a garage bay. So I can click the button and drive in. It's gonna be some fucking Batman shit.
Or just Uber it to work every day. Fuck, man.
Fuck, man. Nah, man. It's very, very interesting in hearing the whole trapped or feeling stuck argument coming from both you and I, both different perspectives.
Yeah.
And ideally, I'd love to handle it how you handled it. That way, you don't look half as bad, or you look half as bad because you're not declining party invites, etc.
Well, and the fucked up thing is, man, like when I disconnect, right? And I've done a bad job, dude. Like my friends back home probably fucking hate me because there's people having kids, there's people getting married. Betty's like, oh my God, you see this? I'm like, they had a kid?
Oh wow, I didn't know they were married. We went to their wedding.
Yeah, like I'm so disconnected, and it's fucked up on my part. Like it really is. It's my bad. But like when I disconnect, man, and I really stay away. Not in that anyone did anything to me. It's just my mind just focuses now on real estate and living in Arizona rather than, oh shit, my friend had this, my friends had that, and I've done a bad job of that.
All right, so I'm gonna say something, and I want to wrap this up for tonight, Shant. I want to ask you a question. Maybe it can be a precursor for next week's episode, because I'm not sure if we have an episode 5 idea being around or in the works. But what do you? Oh, sorry, episode 6. Sorry about that. Yeah. So what? How would you say describe your mental state? Do you think that you're desensitized?
What do you mean?
Desensitized from, he had a kid, or oh, she's getting married, or like all these things. How do they affect you emotionally now?
Yeah, I've been
desensitized.
Yeah, detached from it.
Okay, so I guess for next time, maybe we can dive in a little bit further into emotions and desensitization during work. Sort of, if you want to break down what I'm saying, not giving a fuck about a lot of stuff that happens because you're so laser locked, you're so focused in work, and how that shoots you in the foot later on.
Okay, yeah.
And I guess we can talk about my debilitating anxiety. You didn't know? Did you know? Have I told you?
I don't know. I think so. Maybe but I probably fucking just probably told me, but I just we'll touch on that. And just so everyone back home, like, just so you know, like, I don't even talk to my brother. Like, I haven't talked to my brother in fucking weeks. Okay, so it's like, don't feel too bad, people. Okay, I rarely talk to my brother, and I have a good relationship with my brother. It's not like we've never fought a day in our lives.
Sacco calls me every hour on the hour, so I guess I'm lucky there.
I do talk to Sacco a lot.
Sacco keeps in touch, man. Sacco, he doesn't keep track of who called who.
Yeah, he just calls.
Yeah.
He keep calling me from Greece, bro. He's in Greece right now. He's blowing me up. I'm like, dude.
The worst thing I did was upgrade his data plan. So he has the ability to now call faster and like have like crazy data.
Yeah, we were FaceTiming. He's showing me his block in Greece now. I'm like, great. Thank you, man. Thanks, Adi.
All right, Shant. Until next week. Can't wait. Episode number 6. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about
That'd be a good one.
Shant and his recent understanding of what desensitized means and what it means for his and my future.
Yeah, thanks. This was good. Thanks for listening, guys.
Good night, Shant.
Good night.